because of Alicia. I believe very strongly, and also the product she was talking about, I just have to say personally, phenomenal, non-toxic stuff.
Thank you.
And I use it on a daily basis. I'm alive. 6 years ago, I got that phone call, which some people in this room have gotten themselves. Are you sitting down? And I was, the phone call came 1 week prior to my final divorce court date. I happened to be sitting down at the time, and which was good. And then everything started to unfold in terms of what I had found personally. I am a huge proponent of self-checks. I found it. One day when I was just doing a self-check, I had a full gynecological appointment, successful gynecological appointment in October. In November, I had found a golf ball-sized lump under my left arm. And I went back, and sure enough, it turns out that it was breast cancer that had spread through my lymph system. And they'd found 4 different tumors on my left side. This is amazing, huh? In October, I got a clean bill of health. And then all of a sudden, 1 week prior to my final divorce court date, I had tumors all over my body. And I was slowly dying inside. And I didn't even know it. And my business was, at the time, for about 7 years prior to the diagnosis, empowering men and women globally with the techniques, tips, mindset skills, physiological techniques in order to de-stress their body and have the skills to be able to maintain that sense of inner balance and go for it mentality towards all of life. And here I was. Now this is what really blew open the doors for me. This was 6 years ago. So I jumped into studying epigenetics. Does anybody know anything about epigenetics? Anybody know anything about the Genome Project? People do genetic testing, yes? When people get cancer, and I did the same thing, no gene. So then I started to become very curious. And I thought, I'm going to start studying the link a little more profoundly between your emotional, physical, and spiritual sense of well-being and the manifestation, physiologically speaking. Has anybody ever heard of Dr. Bruce Lipton's work? Epigenetics. If you have not, it's definitely worth exploring. Has anybody ever heard of the water studies out of Japan, Dr. Emoto? Mm-hmm. This was something that literally expanded my world phenomenally, because I knew with the work that I was doing, the clients that I was working with, and understanding the blocks from their timeline, and then seeing the physiological manifestation appear in the body, 1 year, couple months, 2 years after something traumatic or emotionally bumping in their life had happened, or extended stress for over 12 months, and how that ends up manifesting in the body. So the Genome Project is the genetic testing, your genes. Well, everybody in my family had it, so therefore I might get it. And it's a mindset. May it be so, or not, depending on your choice. The Epigenetic Project was founded and explored by Dr. Bruce Lipton. Now, he was a scientist, and he was working in the lab, and he was, as scientists do, they have a very fascinated and curious approach to all of life. So he started messing around in the Petri dish, and he started taking out the DNA from the cells and leaving the DNA in the cells, and actually picked up Einstein's work, which one of his famous statements is, the field directly affects the particle. The field directly affects the particle. Well, what is the field? We're not living in the jungle anymore. We're not wondering if the tiger's going to come out and get us anymore. This is the jungle of our head. I just wrote an article on this because I'm so passionate about hanging out in this one place of empowerment. And that is to be the gatekeeper of your thoughts. To truly hang out at that spot when, boom, the thought comes out of the gate. Now, Most of what we do as human beings, 95% of what we do as human beings, is subconscious reactive behavior. We have created such strong neural pathways in our mind that we basically are along for the ride. And what we're left with is the negative emotion. So here you have the negative emotion. Well, how did the negative emotion get there? Well, when you take a breath and you dismantle and start to become curious and fascinated and asking, what emotion? This is well, you're aware of the emotion, and sometimes you even skip the emotional side and you get into your physiology. God, I got a headache. My back hurts, my feet hurt, my legs hurt. You have the physiological step. I encourage you and I invite you to go a little bit deeper to dismantle this. If you were to give that an emotion, what would it be? When did it take place? When did the headache kick in? Go back 24 hours. What was going on? Okay, keep dismantling it. Go back again and again and again till you get back to the small bite-sized piece of the thought that shot out of the gate and you labeled it as threatening. As soon as you label a thought as threatening, and let me dismantle that into 3 different areas. I'm not okay, I'm not going to be able to handle this, and ultimately I might die. Those are the 3 fuels to fear. Fear, doubt, and worry. I'm not okay, I won't be able to handle it, and I might die. And then all of a sudden a thought comes out. A lot of times this is an interpersonal communication. How many people out there have had an occasion where you will have an encounter with a human being, something will happen that will trigger you, and you walk away and you keep hitting the replay button all day long? Has anybody had that happen? Yes, of course, because you're a human being. These are reactive behaviors that are literally brainwashed into our system. And so you have the thought that comes out of the gate. And this is a practice, and I want to invite each one of you in this room to start hanging out at the gate. The thought comes out, watch your label. As soon as you feel threatened, even if it's by a word that somebody said, usually it'll come down to feeling that you're not okay. They don't like me, or they're not open to my presence because of their body language, their intonation, and their choice of words. I've come to that conclusion. And then all of a sudden you're feeling insecure. Your sense of self-esteem. And that's why the topic today, that's why when Alicia told me what she was doing, I was excited to be able to come and speak a little bit about this, because this is the self-image. And you're constantly making adjustments all day long. Stress is simply a signal within your earth suit. It's a signal in your body, whether it manifests in your mind, whether it manifests in your tension anywhere in your body. Tension and frustration are a direct result to attachment. Attachment to needing a certain outcome by some human being you're speaking with at that moment, some circumstance at work that didn't pull through, or any situation that you're projecting. It didn't happen this week, therefore I'm not okay. Where did it start? With a thought. So then you're faced with a life-threatening dis-ease within your body. Going back to Dr. Bruce Lipton, playing in the Petri dish. He found that when he had the same stressful elements in the Petri dish, in the environment, the cell reacted the same with the DNA or without it. Whoa! That's huge! With or without the DNA, the cells responded the same to the stressful environment. People, this is how powerful your perceptions are down to the cellular level. As many people have said before, be very careful what you think, because your body's listening. And I encourage you to get online and Google Dr. Emoto. Dr. Emoto's work out of Japan. What's interesting about that is he actually studied water, the molecular structure of water, based on the vibration of certain words and intonations. It totally shifts the dynamic and structure of the water under the microscope when it's negative words. Hatred, jealousy, anger, negativity. The molecular structure of the water, and we are what? Close to 76% water. So taking that into consideration, I would definitely hang out by the gate where that thought comes through. This was so empowering to me. I've been studying psychology, energy psychology, for close to 15 years, or 17 years when the cancer actually hit. I'd never heard about Dr. Emoto's work, or Dr. Bruce Lipton's work. But now that I was making an intention to shift my mindset on a daily basis because of my physiology, I felt my body had betrayed me, even as a physical trainer at the time as well, because one of my hobbies was martial arts for 15 years. So I became a second-degree black belt, did the state championship, did the instruction, all of that, mind, body, soul connection. All right, so I had that going for myself. Don't drink, don't smoke. I eat well. I avoid sugar. I was on soy milk, rice milk. So on paper, it all looks good. Okay, so what's the missing element here? The mindset skill. Nobody in my tribe had ever been divorced. I had known that there was an issue 2 years after we got married. But yet, because of my tribal connection, there's no way I was going to go any other direction than to remain in a disconnected relationship. The mind was not on board. The emotions that create that place of knowing that you're enough just as you are, beautifully and wonderfully created in the image of God to go forth and create. You're inspired in spirit. It means to move with divine guidance. All things are possible. When you start that disconnect and you lose your position as the gatekeeper, the cells start responding accordingly. It's actually very simple how we're woven together. It would have been nice if we would have been given a manual when we came out of the chute that said, hey, this is how you work the earth suit if you want it to work for your best benefit. So we identify and adjust. We identify and adjust our perception of events, situations, and circumstances. And we are invited continually with each new dawn to remember the magnificence and the excellence that resides within us. By your thoughts, that's just the place that ignites it. Then you can be congruent, emotionally, spiritually, and physically speaking. So get those images in your head by Googling that Dr. Emoto's work, because I will never forget what I saw. And then when the words were used, love, gratitude, inspiration, all of those words that you've had moments like this. I'll never forget learning in Psych 101. And I was hooked from 16 on in terms of the area of the study of the spirit. Now, traditional cognitive psychology has gotten more into the study of the mind, whereas the original intent was the study of the soul, psychology, the study of the soul mindset. And I'll never forget them saying that, and knowing this to be true, that if you have 10 good things that happen to you in one day, and there's one glitch, just swing, one glitch, what do you keep hitting? You keep hitting the glitch. If only I had done this, if only I had done that. And you beat yourself up. But what happens? Your body starts following suit. We didn't have this problem in child development, child psych development, 0 to 5 years old, during that time when you are not linked to the drug of approval. You're learning about it because you start doing a little dance, start doing a little this, a little that. People say, did you see what they did? Look what they did. Neurology is very smart. There's an action that happens, there's a response to it, boom, you've created a neural pathway. I like the way that feels. That feels good to me. I'm going to do more of that. Problem is, you start dancing for the things, the people, the circumstances that are not congruent with who you are. So when cancer hits, like a ton of bricks, and you lose your hair, and you're breastless, and you look at yourself in the mirror, and you have no eyebrows and eyelashes, and you look like Casper the Ghost. And then all of the programming that says femininity is the hair and the breasts. Really? Well, then what does that make of me? Because I'm bald and breastless. And then the thought comes up, who am I? Can I still be feminine? Am I still a woman? I remember these thoughts coursing through me as I saw myself in the mirror. And I said out loud, holy crap, I don't even remember me. I don't even remember. It's amazing how quickly I forgot what I thought I looked like in order to be me, or thought I should look like in order to be me. And that's where the shift comes in. That's the invitation. Do you want to go or do you not want to go? Believe it or not, whether you have cancer, whether you don't have cancer, you have this invitation every day. Do you want to remember yourself before you farmed out your identity to the world around you? Do you? Do you want to remember your capabilities, your God-given abilities in this earth to create and inspire on a daily basis, which includes creating positive connections and expansion in this world? This is the invitation that lies before each one of us every single day. Do you want to come? And it's moment to moment to moment. I just sent out on my Facebook the other day, do not forget. And it was at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I said, you have been blessed with another gift of life today. Give yourself the space to begin again. Even if it's 100 times a day, begin again as you anchor yourself in this remembrance. I am enough, just as I am. Once you allow that to seep inside, you release all the antics of jealousy, comparison, needing to own, control, and possess situations and circumstances to know you've made it. How many of you have ever said, with your to-do list, which women are phenomenal with to-do lists, and to-do lists are great, no problem with to-do lists. Believe me, I've got like 10 of them that are totally incongruent around my house. Your to-do list is fine. The problem comes in is when you farm out your sense of identity to your to-do list. When your inner self-talk says, I need to accomplish this, this, and this to feel worth it, to feel that I've made it, then it starts to be counterproductive. Because then you are disconnecting yourself with the flow of your God-given ability to create beauty in this world. Whatever that is. I'm doing what I do in this world. If I were to sit down with each one of you, you are all called to do different things in this world. And if I were to dismantle it down to the smallest element, it was sparked with a desire to make a difference. Yes? Somewhere along the line. To make an impact. Even if it's training people with the skills they need to do in order for them to step into their fullest potential. Whatever it is. You each have that spark inside of you. And I invite you to linger with each new dawn to align yourself with that. And this is an interesting, and I'll share this story. Some of you have heard this already, but it's a story that's aligned with what we're talking about here today in terms of your sense of self-image. So I was going through cancer after just getting divorced. The diagnosis came 1 week prior to my final divorce court date. 3 children, 8, 10, and 12. And they were looking to me to see how I would respond. Children are pretty phenomenal. They're pretty straightforward. They don't have a lot of distractions as adults do because they haven't completely formed out their identity to things. So they look to you. Are you scared? There was an interview. They interviewed my kids a year ago. And in the interview they said, were you scared? Were you scared that your mom might die? And they all kind of looked at each other and started laughing. They said, no way. We knew my mom was going to live. We were never worried that she was going to die. And when I saw that, their response, because I was out of the room when they were interviewed so they wouldn't be influenced. When I saw their response, I said, I did it. I was able to transfer my choice for life no matter what surrounded me. And I'm always looking to nature because God is very clear on how He downloads truths that we forget. But we stood in the wonderment of them when we were little. And after that snowstorm, I was walking my dog, and and this is on my Facebook too, I stopped underneath this beautiful pink blooming tree. Has anybody seen a pink blooming tree around here? I feel like I'm talking like that blooming tree. And so I paused under this pink blooming tree, and the snow is on top of these blooms. So you have the blooms, and then you have the snow, the cold snow around them. So I paused and I looked at it and I thought, wow, look at that. And I said, God, that is so cool that we have these reminders constantly inviting us to remember this, that we have the God-given ability to bloom, no matter what the conditions around us, because that is our natural state of being. And that's what we forget. We forget that our natural state of being is health and restoration. How do I know this to be true? I've skinned my knee before, and I've seen it heal within 7 days. I'm not even consciously thinking about it. You better heal, you better heal, you better heal, heal, heal. There's no conscious, 5% of our conscious thinking, none of that going on. Lo and behold, the skin heals. What does that say? Our natural ability is to bloom no matter what surrounds us. Our natural ability is, God-given natural ability is life, no matter what surrounds us. Even if somebody else has an opinion. How many times have you trusted or farmed out your identity and said, may it be so? Oh no, I can't believe this is going to happen to me. I can't believe it. Because, well, how do you know this is going to happen? Because they said so. I'm always wondering, who are those ambiguous they people? Because we all have our they list. Well, they said so. And perhaps it's one person, many people. Perhaps it's statistics. That's the other big thing. Do you realize how unique each one of you are? Not only with your fingerprints. Each one of you has a different fingerprint, but all the way down to what is referred to as your signature heartbeat. Everybody has a unique heartbeat. Holy cow, that's a lot of creativity. That's huge. So if you dismantle it all the way down to how each body functions differently and uniquely, yes, we do the best we can doing statistics for people. We group these people because we've done these tests with this many people. Do not forget your unique God-given ability to heal no matter what any human being around you tells you. That is your portal, your invitation to pass through back to expansion. And many people refer to that as beating the odds. I studied language. Linguistically, it's very interesting the words that people choose. You're beating the odds. Really? What were the odds? And these are expressions that we use as people. Be very careful of the words you use, too. Depending on how you define yourself, and I remember this as I saw myself without my hair and my breasts, and I'll share this one story where my son, I had always had hair. I was born with tons of hair. My baby pictures are a big head. I always had a big head and a big mouth and lots of hair. And so I'd never seen my bald head in my whole life. Never seen pictures of myself bald. I'd never seen my bald head. And here I was bald. And I had given my hair away to Locks 11. My son found me weeping in my room, my 10-year-old son. And the lights were off, and my mom was making dinner downstairs, so I thought I had a quiet moment. And so the other thing that I know is very important to do is to give yourself permission to feel any and every emotion without judgment. Be there and give yourself the space to be angry and have the intention to move through it. Give yourself the permission to grieve, to be sad. Have the intention to return to that state of calm.